How's going, guys? Welcome to the channel. In this video we are gonna see, what if Naruto got banished and had 2 Amber Gems Bloodline in Steven Universe? Part 1. Huge shout out to Ryu Kotei for this story. If you wants to see awesome fanfiction like this, don't forget to subscribe. Now let's get into the video. Mindscape. Naruto awoke to find himself in the sewers that made up his mind and saw himself lying right in front of the fox's cage. "What?" said Naruto as he tried to pick up his body, only for the stubs on his arms to give out. "What happened?" A shadow inside the cage stirred to reveal the 2 giant red eyes of the Kyuubi, the 9-tailed demon fox. "You should remember what had happened, Kit," said the Kyuubi in agitation, as Naruto finally moved himself to a sitting position and thought back to what all had happened. Flash black. Konohagakure. Naruto and Kakashi saw the gates with the Jonin carrying the unconscious Sasuke. "I am still impressed, Naruto," said the cycloptic ninja with an eye smile. "I never would have thought that someone like you to defeat Sasuke as well as the both of you surviving such a massive collision." Naruto gave his sensei a wide smile and said, "Hey, I made a promise to Sakura-chan to bring back Sasuke and I would rather die than go back on my word. That is not what Naruto Uzumaki would do." "Naruto!" shouted Sakura as she rushed towards the duo. "See Kakashi-sensei," Naruto said without noticing the look of pure murder on Sakura's face. "Things are looking up from he dash." Sakura gave the blonde a punch hard enough to break his jaw and send him flying into a nearby tree. Naruto fell from the tree and was about to ask Sakura what had happened before he got a kick to the face from the girl. "What the hell have you done to your Sasuke-kyuan?" screeched Sakura as she began to stomp on Naruto's body. "You promised me that you would bring Sasuke-kun back and you only bring him back beaten and broken. Now I'm going to do the same to you for breaking that promise." Sakura then grabbed a nearby rock and gripped it hard enough to give the stone a small crack before a look of vengeful bloodlust in her eyes. "I'll make sure you can never hurt Sasuke-kun ever again," said Sakura as she raised the stone up high. "You no good piece of trash monster." Kakashi could stare in horror at Sakura smashing Naruto's arms as the blonde's screams paralyzed his body. The Jonin finally snapped himself free from his fear as the 2 Chunin at the gate approached and gave Sasuke to the 2 before going towards Sakura. "Sakura, stop!" ordered Kakashi as he tried to wrestle Sakura back. "Stop it now!" The Jonin saw that he had no choice as to knock Sakura out with a quick chop to the neck. Naruto looked up to see that his arms were completely smashed some inches below the elbow as jagged pieces of bone were sticking out and blood oozing from the bruises that have been torn open. "Sakura-chan," Naruto said weakly as darkness began to envelop his vision. "Why?" The blonde never saw the others arriving as darkness finally enveloped him. Flashback end. Mindscape. "Sakura, why?" Naruto thought to himself as he looked at the stubs of what remained of his arms. "I'm truly sorry about your arms, Kit," said the Kyuubi with a stoic tone. "But even if I had the chance, your arms would have never been able to heal properly and would have taken months to fully heal. Even my power is limited." Naruto didn't even hear the fox as he remembered what Tsunade had told him at the hospital. Flashback. Konohagakure. Naruto slowly awoke to find himself at the hospital with Tsunade sitting next to his bed with a saddened look on her face. "Bachan?" asked Naruto as he pushed himself up with his elbows before he felt something different about his arms. "Naruto!" said Tsunade with shock on her tear-stained face before her voice had softened. "Naruto, before you ask, Sasuke is doing alright as he is recovering in a different room with Jiraiya looking at that curse mark on his neck. I have some bad news though." Naruto removed both arms from his side to see a horrific sight, bandages covering his arms where the rest should have been. My hands," said the blonde with pure horror in his eyes as he stared at the bandaged stubs. "Where the hell are my hands?" Tsunade quickly hugged Naruto as she said, "There was nothing we could have done to save them, Naruto. Even he must have seen how impossible it would have been. I'm sorry." Flashback end. Mindscape. Naruto could remember the look of horror on everyone's faces as they saw his bandaged stumps. There was a mixture of horror, sadness, and worst of all, pity. I still can't believe Sakura had the gall to do that to me, Naruto said as he hung his head at knowing his career as a ninja would be finished for the rest of his life. Naruto then remembered how the council had exiled him and had a Chunin escort him to a waiting ship at the docks that would transport him to the island far from Hai no Kuni, but even that didn't go as planned. Flashback. Naruto and his Chunin escort had made it to where the ship that was to take him to his new home since he can never return to his home. Well, said the Chunin escort. End of the line. Naruto nodded and climbed the stairs, but before he boarded the ship, the young blonde turned and faced the man. I know that you're one of the ninja back at the village that hated my guts, asked Naruto. But is it possible for me to ask for your name? The man nodded and said, My name is Odori, Naruto-san, and to be honest, I never did hate you. In fact, I have respected you for holding the Kyuubi at bay, and the Uchiha was always a power-hungry brat. The council has made their greatest error with this. I'll never forget you and I shall always honor you, Uzumaki-sama. Naruto smiled and got on the ship, waving goodbye to the last person from Konohagakure he will ever see before hours later a large group of storm clouds rolled towards the ship. Flashback end. Naruto rubbed a stump on the side of his face as the last thing he remembered was a beautiful pale face with orange hair. Whoever that person is, Naruto said as he smiled at the memory. They have my eternal gratitude. Too bad I can't do anything with my hands. The Kyuubi smirked and said, Ever since I've been trapped inside of your body, I've been bored as hell, and one time I decided to look through your blood and I've made a shocking discovery. There is more to the Uzumaki bloodline than anyone realized. The blonde looked at the giant fox like the beast had grown another head in the blink of an eye. Please tell me, said Naruto with desperate excitement. Please tell me that I have some cool Kekkei Genkai that is way better than Sasuke teams. Shut it, roared the Kyuubi before calming down. What I have discovered is the secret behind the Uzumaki clan's longevity. Naruto tilted his head in confusion as the giant fox then said, Yes, Kit, you had a clan that can actually outlive 3 generations, for if they were not a ninja and lived a very healthy lifestyle, and 5 or 6 for you. Anyway, it seems like there is another part of the Uzumaki blood, something mystical infused inside the blood, and it is through this that grants Uzumakis their increased lifespan. Unfortunately, there are impurities in the blood that block it, mostly the different blood ties within the blood from both sides of your family. If I get rid of some of the impurities, it is possible to reawaken this hidden power inside of you, thus releasing not only the true Uzumaki bloodline but whatever else that mystical piece hides in your blood. Naruto smiled and said, Well, what are you waiting for? Bring out my true power. Silence echoed throughout the sewer as Naruto looked at the Kyuubi with a questioning look. What's going on, Kyuubi? Asked Naruto as an uncomforting aura hung in the air. If I'm going to do this, said the giant fox with a stern look in his eyes, I want something in return. I want some freedom. Naruto angrily pointed a stub at the fox and said, There is no way in hell am I going to let you loose on innocent people. I'd rather have no arms than knowing that I let loose one of the most dangerous demons on the world. The Kyuubi let out a sigh and said, I never said that I wanted complete freedom, just some freedom. All I am asking is to just walk around and feel everything that I'm missing out on, as all I get is what you see and the emotions and pain you feel. I never get the chance to, and the last time I could only remember is when I was controlled. I don't even remember half the things during those times. Again, all I am asking for is to possess a shadow clone every now and then. I'm not leaving an untrained pipsqueak alone with my chakra. I'll even restore your arms. Naruto scowled and said, You said you couldn't heal them, so how are you going to do that? The fox slammed its hand-like paw and said, I said that I couldn't heal your arms at that time as the damage was too extensive, but by restoring your arms using that mystical part in your blood, it will be like that whole removal of your previous arms never happened, as you will grow those arms back. So what do you say, deal or no deal? Naruto considered his options. He could let the Kyuubi tamper with his blood and not only get something cool out of it but get his arms back. Or just live the rest of his life without hands and unable to truly repay his savior. Should he choose to let the Kyuubi tamper with his blood, Naruto just has to let it possess a Kage Bushin, and after thinking about it, it would be like having a friend from Konoha, one that will literally be with him till he dies. What should I choose? Naruto thought as he sat down and crossed his arms. I want to continue my career, but I can't do that without hands. But can I really grant the Kyuubi that kind of freedom? I wish I had something to help me with this choice. Follow your heart. Naruto looked around to find the voice, but only saw himself and the Kyuubi. Well, Kit, I'm waiting, said the giant fox, getting impatient. If you don't make a choice, I'll make it for you. Listen to the voice inside your heart, said the mysterious voice. You can make whatever choice you want, just follow your heart, child. Naruto closed his eyes and let the voice's wisdom seep in. Okay, Kyuubi, I've made my decision, said Naruto with fire in his eyes as he stared down the fox. Give me back my arms. The fox nodded and said, Better prepare yourself, because the amount of pain you'll feel will make that Chidori you took feel like a bee sting compared to this. Crystal Temple, Steven's room. Pearl was sitting near the couch where the boy she saved on the beach was laying. She was trying to help Steven with summoning his gem's power when the two of them saw a patch of orange in the ocean, and when the orange patch drifted onto shore, she and Steven discovered that it was a young boy with blonde hair. To their horror, the boy wasn't breathing, so Pearl had Steven run and get help while she performed CPR on the blonde with hope of saving his life. She continued on until the boy coughed up water and looked at her with beautiful ocean blue eyes as the boy thanked her before passing out. A medic had arrived and examined the blonde to find that the boy will live and just needed some rest, but said that if the group needed anything else to contact the hospital. After that, Garnet had carried the boy into their home and laid him on the couch where the child could rest. No one could ignore the stubs on his arms where the boy's hands once were, and could only imagine what could have happened. Pearl continued to watch the boy as the others continued on with their day, knowing that the perfectionists would make sure that the boy was safe and well taken care of. What could have happened to someone like you? Said Pearl as she looked at the stubs with tears forming in her eyes. How could you have been robbed of your hands as a child? The crystal gem gently ran a hand on the whisker-like marks on the boy's face, and she couldn't help but think how they give a certain roguish charm to the blonde. Those marks make him look cute, Pearl thought to herself before she shook her head. Come on, Pearl, he's probably around Steven's age, maybe a little older, and you're old enough to be his great-great-grandmother. Then again, Rose was a lot older when she married Greg, but they're adults and you're a teenager while the boy is just a preteen. A scream woke Pearl from her thoughts as she then saw the boy writhing in pain as a red aura enveloped him. The crystal gem fell off the chair as the others entered to only hear a painful scream escape from the blonde. Steven walked next to Pearl and said, Pearl, what happened? What's wrong with him? Pearl got to her feet and said, I don't know, Steven. I was just watching him and then he started screaming. Amethyst was about to place a hand on the blonde's forehead until another hand stopped her. That hand belonged to Garnet, the leader of the crystal gems. Don't touch him, Amethyst, said the woman as she brought out a frozen hot dog and placed it on the aura. Much to the shock of everyone, the aura enveloped the hot dog and began to dissolve it right before their eyes. Whoa, said Steven as he watched the last of the hot dog be eaten away in the air. It's like acid. Pearl looked at the tall woman and asked, What should we do, Garnet? Should we call the hospital? Before anyone could act, another scream from the boy gained their attention to reveal that the stubs have now blown open with bone and flesh growing from it. I'm gonna be sick, said Amethyst as she tried to hold back her nausea as she watched hands beginning to form. It was a sickening sight as the new hands finished growing fingernails from the cuticles. Then something else happened. Just above the boy's wrists, 2 orange square gems formed in a blinding light. He's a crystal gem, said Pearl as she looked at the 2 gems on the boy's arms. Those are amber gems. Everything was silent until the blonde began to move and slowly sat up. He's coming to, said Pearl as the blonde slowly opened his eyes to reveal his shiny blue eyes. The boy put his head in one of his hands before pulling it back and smiled before saying, He did it! He actually did it! My hands are back! The blonde flexed the fingers on his 2 new hands before he saw the 2 gemstones embedded into his arms. What the? Said the boy with confusion on his face as he examined the gems. Are you alright? Asked Pearl as she gently placed her hand on the boy's shoulder. You gave us quite a scare when your arms grew back. The blonde turned to face Pearl and stared at her for a few seconds before hugging her thin frame and giving her a barrage of thanks. The crystal gem was taken by surprise, but she then enveloped the boy in a loving hug and gently rubbed his back. After calming down, the boy let go of Pearl and said, "I'm Naruto Uzumaki, former shinobi of Konohagakure, and I wish to thank you for saving my life." Pearl smiled a bit and said, "Hello Naruto, I'm Pearl and these are my friends, Garnet, Amethyst, and Steven. We are the crystal gems, and apparently you're one too." Naruto raised an eyebrow until he saw the large pearl embedded in the thin girl's forehead before looking at the gems on his arms. "Crystal gems are guardians of Earth who rely on the mystical powers of their gems," said Garnet as she revealed the 2 garnets embedded into her palms. "Our powers evolve from simple shape-shifting to even summoning weapons that are unique to each one." Garnet's hand glowed briefly before 2 large, red gauntlets with 2 large, golden stars near the knuckles appeared out of thin air on her hands. "Cool," said Naruto as his eyes shone with excitement at the sight. "So all of you can summon really cool weapons?" "All but Steven here," said Amethyst as she lightly jabbed Steven with her elbow. "He's still working on getting his to work for him, but with you around he's not going to be alone." Pearl gave the crystal gem a look and said, "We can't have him join us after we just pulled him from the ocean and saved him from drowning. He could still go into shock and needs time to recover from whatever happened." Pearl then felt a hand on her shoulder to see Naruto looking at her with a stern face and eyes full of confidence. "I'll join you seeing how I'm now an exiled ninja," said Naruto as he got confused looks from the others around him. "But first I have a promise to keep up. Shadow Clone Jutsu." In a large plume of smoke, another Naruto appeared next to him. Before this, Naruto's looks began to change. His spiky, blonde hair smoothed out and became blood red, the whisker-like marks on his face became more pronounced and curved, and when he opened his eyes, gone were the sparkling blue eyes as cold, blood-red eyes with slits in them. "Thanks for keeping your end of the deal, Kit," said the Naruto copy with a cool, chilling voice. "But to save us some trouble in the future, my name's Kurama. Kyubi is just a title you humans have given me." "Kyubi?" said Garnet with wonder. "As in the nine-tailed fox?" Kurama looked at the crystal gems and said, "Yes, that Kyubi." Garnet nodded as Steven asked, "You know him?" Amethyst raised an eyebrow and asked, "The same Kyubi that Rose told us about when she told us about Mito Uzumaki?" Kurama chuckled and said, "She was my first Jinchuriki, and she and my previous Jinchuriki before the boy never gave me any form of freedom, as the mental link is just a given. I'm trapped inside of them with only hearing and seeing from their perspective, and I only feel pain and emotions from them. I actually wanted to feel a cool forest breeze on my fur and the dirt underneath my paws, but all I get is that I'm nothing but an evil monster when the real monster is that Uchiha bastard." Breathing heavily after venting some anger, Kurama let out a sigh and said, "Just what the doctor ordered. Good to let out some anger and know that it was all me." "Now that that's out of the way," said Amethyst as she moved some of her hair behind her head, "what were you doing in the middle of the ocean?" A small frown formed on Naruto's face as he looked at Kurama for a bit of guidance. "Go ahead and tell them," said Kurama as he knew about the blonde's trust issues. "I'll fill in what blanks I can and we'll just see from there." Letting out a sigh, Naruto began telling the crystal gems where he was from, some of the people he had met, and eventually telling them about his whole life, while Kurama stepped in to provide some important details that Naruto missed out. After hearing about Naruto's life, the gems were both amazed at how a young boy could survive such a life and appalled at how others have treated the boy. Even Garnet was clenching her fists tightly in boiling anger. How could people treat a small child like that for something out of their control? Ranted Amethyst as she was tempted to find Naruto's abusers and giving them a piece of her mind. Steven was appalled at how a girl Naruto once liked had done something so heartbreaking after the blonde had kept his promise. Pearl, on the other hand, had tears rolling down her face at the thought of the boy being so alone and in pain for so long. Naruto then shut his eyes tightly, expecting the crystal gems to reject him and begin to chase him away, but he was surprised at the feeling of loving warmth wrapped around him. The blonde opened his eyes to see the gems hugging him with tears on their faces. "What?" asked Naruto in confusion. "What are you doing? Don't you want to beat me or chase me out?" The gems let go and backed up a bit as Pearl said, "We would never do such horrid things to such a person like you, Naruto. You deserve so much love after what you had been put through." Amethyst placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder and said, "Yeah, that's Sakura. Girl doesn't know what a great friend she had just lost because she was kissing some boy's ass." Taken aback, Pearl gave Amethyst a scolding look and said, "Not in front of Steven and Naruto." Garnet walked by the two gems and placed her hands on Naruto's shoulders before enveloping the blonde into a hug as Naruto heard something that he had only dreamed of hearing before getting kicked out of the orphanage. "Welcome to our family, Naruto." Beach City, Crystal Temple *. Naruto stood on the sands of the beach that was in front of the Crystal Temple with his toes in the silky sand. "This feels nice," Naruto thought while the sea breeze caressed his skin as he stood in an orange Hawaiian shirt and red and black swimming trunks, to feel something so nice after having nothing but misery with little happiness. It had been a whole week since Naruto had arrived in Beach City, and he's been adjusting alright with the help of Steven and his father, Greg, along with the crystal gems. Pearl helped Naruto learn about his power as a gem, Garnet and Kurama helped him with his training as a shinobi and a gem, and Amethyst, Steven, and Greg helped the blonde with his social life. Overall, Naruto was enjoying his new start. Naruto then began to think about the other crystal gems and how they had helped him with his new life. Garnet, being the leader of the group, was a real sensei to Naruto and at times a true mother figure for him whenever he needed it. Something between the two had somehow clicked as the tall woman would help correct Naruto's stances, or even just provide that motherly wisdom for the blonde. Stern like a leader should be, Naruto thought as he remembered some of the teachings Garnet had given him, yet kind like a mother. Amethyst was immediately Naruto's sister, as the gem would sometimes know how to cheer the blonde up, or even just hang out with him for fun. Whether she would annoy Pearl or Kurama or even freak Greg out through her gem's power, Amethyst would always bring a smile to Naruto's face. "I'm glad to have someone like Ami-chan as a sister," Naruto thought as he chuckled at some of the pranks he and the gem would pull off sometimes, even if I'm the victim sometimes. But then his thoughts went to Pearl, the girl who had saved his life on the beach. The girl was very beautiful and her delicate form both in and out of combat just caught his attention in ways Naruto would have never thought. The pearl embedded into the gem's forehead just added to her beauty like a priceless tiara that could only be perfect for the right princess. Even her voice was pure enough to turn angels green with envy, and Naruto has been hypnotized by Pearl's voice quite a few times. Even her nose is cute, Naruto thought as a dreamy look in his eyes and a small blush on his face. Pearl-chan is a princess among princesses. "Kit," said Kurama from inside Naruto's mind. "You do know that she's old enough to even be Tsunade's great-grandmother." "So what?" Naruto argued with the fox. "Besides, Pearl-chan told me that she and Amine are teenagers in terms of age as crystal gems." "Okay, so physically she could be about 3 or 4 years older than you, big deal," said Kurama as he rolled his eyes. "How is an idiot like you supposed to impress a girl like her, Naruto turned towards the temple and thought, "Love is crazy like that, Kurama. At least I think it's love." "You don't even know if it is love or just another crush," scolded Kurama as he reluctantly brought up the memory of Sakura crushing his arms. "And I absolutely refuse to let you go through that again. Even though you never showed it, you were bawling your eyes out after what that bitch did to you." Naruto scowled a bit at the memory as he bitterly thought, "I'm over her considering she was willing to end my ninja career even after fulfilling a promise to her. Pearl-chan would never do that, I know it." The blonde entered the house to see that the crystal gems, minus Steven, had just returned from whatever mission they were on. "How did everything go?" asked Naruto as he opened the fridge to pull out a can of cola. "Anything interesting or important happened?" Amethyst walked towards Naruto and said, "Aside from monster fighting, nothing really exciting. I'm going to find Steven." Naruto chuckled a bit after his sister figure exited the door and said, "I bet $10 that Amine has a huge crush on Steven." Pearl giggled a bit while Garnet had somehow vanished into the temple. "I can actually see those two together," said Pearl as she got a bottle of water from the fridge. "So how have you been since you decided to live here? I can't believe it's already been a week since you arrived. It feels like yesterday that you had just washed up on the shore." "I've been alright," said Naruto as he took a sip of the cola. "Everything will fall into place soon enough." Pearl smiled a bit as it was still taking some time for Naruto to adjust to everything, but she was happy that the boy was adjusting. Pearl and the others had been helping him adjust to everything after Naruto decided to live in Beach City. From a simple change in diet to even hanging out with others, the crystal gems were there when Naruto needed it. I think I may ask Greg to teach me how to play the guitar, Naruto said as he tossed the empty can into a small recycling bin. Just something to get my mind off things. Any luck with activating your gem? Asked Pearl as she looked at the 2 orange amber gems on Naruto's arm. I'm kind of curious about what your gem's weapon could be. Naruto examined the gems on his arms. He has tried to bring out their power like the others, and Steven occasionally, but he had only successfully mastered shape-shifting, projecting holographic images, mostly maps and other forms of navigation, a universal translator, and he is getting a hang of psychokinetic abilities similar to Garnet. I'd like to know myself, said Naruto as he examined his reflection in the amber gem in his right arm. Whatever they may be, I'll use them to protect those who are precious to me, even at the cost of my life. Precious to you? Asked Pearl. You mean those who are close to you? Naruto nodded as a stern look appeared on his face as he said, Remember that because of my condition with Kurama sealed inside of me that I never had a lot of friends. At first I had no one, but as time went on, I was able to get friends, the couple at Ichiraku's, Irika-sensei, the Sandaime Hokage, Konohamaru and his friends, and I was then able to make friends with the other genin, even Sasuke and Sakura long ago. Pearl saw the blonde close his eyes and let out a sigh. The memories of what was had still haunted Naruto. On one of the missions I had, said Naruto as he opened his eyes and looked at Pearl, I had met someone who told me the secret of finding true strength. In order to find my true strength, I have to fight for the people I hold dear and consider precious to me. It was ironic that he died protecting the one he considered a father. Naruto got off the chair and looked out the window with eyes of determination. Now after meeting you and the others, continued the blonde as he saw Steven and Amethyst throwing a frisbee back and forth, I now have new people that I consider precious to me. I'm not saying that because you saved my life, I'm forever grateful you did, Pearl-chan, but I'm saying that because you guys have helped me with so much this past week with adjusting to my new life. I will fight to protect everyone from all dangers that arrive and more, just like the Sandaime Hokage. I'll fight to the bitter end to ensure the safety of those I consider both friend and family. A bright light shone from Naruto's arms as the two realized that the gem's weapon was about to appear. The glow was bright enough to be seen from outside as Steven and Amethyst rushed in to see the commotion. No way, said Steven as Naruto began to focus on bringing out the weapon. Garnet arrived to just see the blonde summon his weapons. 2 golden gauntlets with claws formed on his hands as spiked armored plates soon formed up his arms towards the shoulders where shoulder plates in the form of fox heads rested. Amazing, said Pearl as the light died down, allowing the others to examine the gauntlets. I have never seen gauntlets such as these before. Naruto examined the gauntlets with inspired awe as he could feel the power radiating from them. So this is the power of the amber, the blonde thought as he flexed his fingers to examine the claws on the gauntlets. I will use this to protect those who are precious to me, including you, Pearl-chan. Naruto let the claws vanish as the others were smiling at what the blonde had accomplished. That was awesome, Naruto, said Amethyst as she wrapped an arm around Naruto's shoulders. Bet you can't wait to fight some monsters with those claws. The blonde chuckled at Amethyst and Steven's energy as the two of them began talking about how awesome Naruto was, but he then saw Garnet approach him with her stoic face. Guess this means my training is going to be more intense now that I can summon my weapon, right? Naruto asked as he then received a nod from Garnet. The blonde did a small fist pump as he said, Bring it on, sensei! Kanahigakure, Hokage's office. Tsunade was looking over some paperwork, as she had a very long week since Naruto's banishment and sudden disappearance. She had stripped Sakura of her shinobi rank for her attack on Naruto, then had to deal with what the council wanted to do with the treacherous Uchiha. Thankfully the fire daimyo was there and had heard everything, and through much arguing, Sasuke was to be stripped of his shinobi rank and have his chakra sealed until the curse mark that Orochimaru had placed on him was dealt with, even if the curse mark was the sole cause of Sasuke's attempted defection. Tsunade didn't want to chance anything in case the Uchiha tried anything. The civilian council wasn't too happy, but after hearing the truth and discovering the corruption hidden in the council, The daimyo disbanded the civilian council and executed them along with Hiruzen's former teammates, and Danzo. Unfortunately, the Warhawk had escaped using his implanted Sharingans on his implanted Mokutan arm, which the news caused panic within the village when the truth about the Uchiha massacre was made public during Danzo's escape. Tsunade then rescinded Naruto's banishment and sent Iruka and Kakashi to retrieve the blonde, only to learn from the sailors that the ship Naruto was on ran into a powerful storm, and no one on the ship had survived. News of Naruto's supposed death had shocked everyone as word had spread like a dangerous wildfire. Iruka had gone into a deep depression at the thought of losing his little brother. Ichiraku's was closed for a week as the owners took the time to mourn the death of their favorite customer. Even the remaining Konoha 12, minus Sakura and Sasuke, had held a small private funeral for their lost comrade. When word had reached Suna, Gaara had wept for his first friend and would have attacked Konoha if Baki and Gaara's siblings hadn't held him back while comforting him. Then the other countries that Naruto had aided began cutting off deals with Konoha and giving them to Suna, and the Great Naruto Bridge had placed a heavy tax on all Konoha shinobi, while the princess from Snow/Spring refused to star in the Ika Ika movie, declaring that she would never be involved with anything that was related to Konoha. Things only got worse when Naruto's heritage was revealed, as many of the people who have harmed Naruto began to either panic about harming the child of the Yondaime Hokage, or go into denial about the Yondaime having a son. The law involving Naruto's status as a Jinchuriki was rescinded as the truth about the Kyuubi's defeat was revealed, with Jiraiya explaining the seal that the Yondaime had used, explaining that if Naruto were to die, the great Kyuubi would have been released. It wouldn't have mattered anyway, Tsunade thought as she turned her chair around to look out the window. Naruto is gone and he is never coming back, even if he has pulled of the impossible many times before. Tsunade was pulled from her thoughts as Jiraiya had entered through the window with a smile on his face. Orochimaru better be permanently dead or dying with no hope of coming back if you're smiling like that, Tsunade threatened, as she wasn't in the mood for any of Jiraiya's antics. Unfortunately no, Haim, said Jiraiya before he quickly said, but I do had good news and bad news. Tsunade gave the Toad Sage a look to continue on before she decided to hurt him. The good news is that Naruto is still very much alive and well, said Jiraiya, until the blonde before him began to hug him with schoolgirl giddy. Naruto's alive! Where is he? How is he doing? Tell me how my little Gaki's doing, said Tsunade with a desperate voice. Calm down, Tsunade, you're going to give yourself a heart attack, said Jiraiya as the Hokage calmed herself down. Naruto is alive. But the bad news is that there's no way to find Naruto in the elemental countries because he's not in any of the lands. His name is still active in the Toad's contract, but unfortunately there's something wrong. Tsunade didn't like what was coming up, as if even the Toads can't bring back one of their summoners, then the only way to find Naruto would be the hard way. For some odd reason, said Jiraiya as he crossed his arms, the Toads cannot summon Naruto, and they discovered that something is preventing them. The elder Toads had said something had drastically changed the Gaki's blood, which probably preventing them from summoning him, like Naruto as both himself and another person at the same time. This caught Tsunade off guard. Could a simple blood transfusion be blocking the Toads? No, that's impossible, Tsunade thought as she remembered doing a blood transfusion with Kakashi one time, and the Jonin was still able to summon the dogs. You and I both know that a blood transfusion wouldn't prevent any of the animals from reverse summoning those who have signed their contract, said Tsunade as she laced her fingers together before resting her chin on them. So Naruto or the Kyuubi must have done something for this to happen. Any clue as to how? Jiraiya frowned as he said, unless Naruto had signed another contract or died, something like this should be impossible. More than likely the fox, or something else, is preventing the Toads from bringing Naruto to them. Before the two could continue, there was a knock on the door. Enter, said Tsunade as the door opened. What do you wish to talk about? The person walked through the doorway, and with determination she asked. I wish to become your apprentice, if you will allow me. Tsunade studied the girl over and began to size her up. The Hokage knew that the girl was on the meek side, but she saw great potential in her as the tightened knuckles showed both nervousness and determination. I hope you understand that what I would teach you should be used for the right purpose, said Tsunade as she circled around the girl. Because if I ever hear that you are abusing what I have taught you, I will beat you into your own grave. Do I make myself clear? The girl had swallowed a lump in her throat before she said, "Hi, sure show." Tsunade briefly smiled until she saw Sakura enter the office. "Lady Hokage," said Sakura as she bowed towards the woman. "Please take me as your apprentice. I need to make everything right. I need to apologize to Naruto for what I've done to him. It was wrong for me to do that to him, and seeing what he has gone through, I need him to forgive me." Tsunade frowned and said, "Unfortunately, Haruno, I have no desire to teach someone who would never treat their comrade with such hatred, even after fulfilling a promise they might make to her. Besides," Tsunade placed her hands on the shoulders of the previous girl and said, "I have already found my apprentice, since she would never allow herself to be blinded by her own fantasies. That, and she never smashed her comrade's arms into oblivion, robbing him of not only his career as a ninja, but his dreams as well. Now get out." Sakura had a look of devastation on her face before she ran out the office with tears running down her face. "Wasn't that a bit harsh, Shursho?" asked Hinata as she looked at her new master. Tsunade let out a sigh and said, "One of the most important lessons that you will learn from me is that life never plays fair, as one day will be the best day you ever had, then complete crap the next day. Now be back here tomorrow at 8 a.m. and be ready for the most intense training you have ever had in your life." The Hyuga nodded before she dashed out the office with a smile on her face. "I can't believe that Hinata of all people came up and asked you to take her as your apprentice," said Jiraiya with a bit of shock in his eyes. "Hinata Hyuga has more than earned the right to become my apprentice," said Tsunade as she pulled out a small container of healing ointment. "With her skills in medicine as well as her acute chakra control, I could mold her into the best damn medical ninja in Konohagakure, as well as trust her with my secrets." Jiraiya wasn't sure to either be awed at the possibility of Hinata's full potential being brought out thanks to Tsunade, or scared to death at a Hyuga version of Tsunade thanks to said Sannin. "Just be careful with her, Haim," said Jiraiya as he paled at the second thought. "Her unfortunate history due to her father had made her frail, so try not to break her." Tsunade smirked as he moved one of her ponytails behind her head and said, "I don't plan on breaking Hinata. I plan on recreating her into the shinobi she is meant to be." Beach City, Crystal Temple. Naruto had his claws ready as he was in a sparring match with Garnet, who had her gauntlets prepared for an attack. "Fight till one of us surrenders?" said Naruto as he got into his brawler battle stance. Garnet said nothing as she got into her own stance, sending the silent message to the blonde. The two stared each other down until Naruto rushed in for the first blow. Garnet easily blocked the attack and countered with a swift elbow to Naruto's gut before grabbing Naruto's wrist and tossed him to the side. The blonde bounced off the sand once before getting to his feet, while gripping the sand to slow his momentum. Garnet leapt into the air and was about to slam a fist into Naruto before the blonde jumped to the side to avoid the attack. Naruto shielded his eyes from the flying sand before he saw his opponent charge towards him. "Gem style," said Naruto as he pulled his arms back, launching some small spikes. "Crystal needles!" Seeing no chance of escape, Garnet crossed her arms and buried her face behind them as multiple needles were jabbed into her body and hair. "Not bad, Naruto," said Garnet as she pulled out one of the golden needles in her shoulder. "I see that you have improved in the past few days of training. Let's see how much longer you can last in a fight." Garnet rushed towards Naruto for an overhead attack, but she missed as the blonde jumped back. "I can't slow down," Naruto thought as he dodged another attack from his mentor. "Even if Garnet-sensei is holding back, I can't let my guard down for even a second." The blonde went to slash his opponent, but Garnet sidestepped and grabbed his wrists before throwing him towards the sidelines where the other gems and Greg were watching. Naruto slid on the sand and got to his knees as he saw Garnet leapt towards him from up above with an attack ready. "He's done for," said Greg, not seeing the smirk on Naruto's face. "I wouldn't say that," said Pearl as she knew that the blonde was up to something. "Naruto has a lot of tricks up his sleeves." Garnet slammed her fist into the sand, and when the dust settled, Naruto was nowhere to be seen. "Where did he go?" asked Amethyst as she and Steven looked for the blonde. Garnet looked around as she took a few steps back as she wondered where her opponent was. No one noticed a small mound of sand building from behind the tall woman until it had burst open to reveal Naruto with an attack ready. Garnet noticed too late as the attack connected into her back and the blonde dove back underneath the sand. Clever, said Garnet. She held her injured back as she saw a small dust cloud of sand moving around. But not clever enough. Garnet pulled back a fist as she watched the dust cloud move around in different direction before two more dust clouds formed and began closing in towards her. It wasn't until the three clouds got close enough before she slammed her fist into the ground, causing three Narutos to be launched out and disappeared into clouds of smoke. Where are you, Naruto? Garnet thought until a small mound of sand formed behind her. There. The mound erupted as Naruto had his hands in the form of the tiger seal. 1,000 years of work, said Naruto until Garnet sidestepped and landed a powerful blow to his head. The blonde was about to get up before he felt pressure on his back and the back of his neck and turned to see Garnet holding him down. Crap, said Naruto as he knew he was finished and had no other choices. I give. Garnet got up and helped Naruto to his feet as the others approached them. That was good, Naruto, said Garnet as she dusted herself. But you should find a better stance for your weapon. Your normal brawler stance only focuses on brute strength. You should try and find a stance that will help you focus on speed instead of power. Naruto bowed towards his mentor before he saw a large mound of sand building in the distance. Sensei, said Naruto as he pointed off towards the distance as everyone looked to see a giant blue crab rise from underneath the sand. Acting quickly, Garnet turned towards the others and said, Get ready! Steven, you and your father need to get to safety while we deal with this. Steven wanted to argue, but the look on the others and on his father convinced him otherwise. But Garnet, said Steven as he tried to argue, you're injured. Garnet looked at the giant crab and said, I've had worse. Greg quickly grabbed his son as he decided to let the experienced fighters deal with the monster. Garnet looked at Pearl, Amethyst, and Naruto with a small smirk and said, Let's go. The crystal gems along with Naruto rushed towards the large crustacean as a great battle began to unfold. Beach City, Crystal Temple. Naruto and the three gems rushed towards the giant crab monster as the beast let out a screeching roar. Naruto summoned his claws as the others followed by summoning their weapons. Watch the pincers, said Garnet as she grabbed an attacking pincer to prevent any further injury done to her. Amethyst used her whip to pull at one of the crab's spear-like legs while Pearl and Naruto charged towards the beast, weapons ready. Aim for its underbelly, said Pearl as she had her sights set on the baby blue underbelly of the beast. That is where it's most weakest at. Naruto nodded as he formed a hand seal and said, Shadow Clone Jutsu! Smoke erupted as 10 Narutos had appeared before them with their own claws rushing towards the giant crab. Pearl, look out! Cried Steven as said gem looked to see the crab's pointed leg about to impale her. Pearl was about to jump away when all of a sudden she felt a rush and a cry before looking to see Naruto getting impaled. Naruto disappeared in a cloud of smoke as another Naruto said, Gotta love the clone jutsus. Pearl saw that a few other Narutos were swiped away by the crab's giant pincer before disappearing in clouds of smoke. The gems let out a sigh as the real Naruto was somehow still saved. Where was he, by the way? Hey, ugly! Naruto roared as 3 more Narutos were with him. Let's see how you like this. Naruto held his right hand back as the duplicate was moving his hands around as a sphere of energy began to form in the original's hand. 2 of the Naruto then turned around and cupped their hands before giving the other 2 a small boost in their jump. The Naruto that was forming the now developed sphere of energy had then disappeared as the original slammed the sphere into the beast's underbelly and said, Rasengan! Garnet and Amethyst had let go as the giant crab was thrown into the air in a short distance by the sheer force of the attack. The original Naruto then quickly jumped back before the giant crab could crash on top of him as a Naruto clone approached the original's side. Time to try it out, said the original Naruto as he brought out his right hand with the clone moving his hands to form another sphere of energy, but this time the sphere was golden. Naruto felt the strain of concentrating both chakra and his gem's power as he dispelled his clawed gauntlets, but the 2 amber gems remained glowing. Gem style, said Naruto as he rammed the golden sphere into the crab's exposed mouth. Golden Rasengan! The sphere exploded as the beast was disintegrated in a golden light, as all that was left was a dark blue fist-sized gemstone. Everyone stared in shock and awe at the power that was displayed. Naruto had just destroyed a giant crab with 2 spheres made of energy, with one of them having his gem's power. Naruto felt his right arm droop as he had lost feeling in it from the amount of strain put in that last attack. "Don't worry, kid," said Kurama from inside Naruto's mind. "I'm fixing up your arm, and with the combination of my power along with your gems, your arm should be back to normal in about 3 days. "That's good to know," Naruto thought as the last thing he saw was Garnet teleporting the gemstone away before running towards him as the world had gone dark on him. A few days had passed since the gems defeated the giant crab monster, and Naruto was walking down the beach after Garnet had told him to get the others as they had a mission. "I wonder what that mission could be?" Naruto asked himself before he saw Pearl, Amethyst, and Steven walking towards him with Pearl and Amethyst arguing over something. "Hey Naruto," said Steven with a cheerful smile. "Have you ever seen a giant woman before?" The 2 gems stopped their arguing as they saw the confused look on Naruto's face before Pearl said, "What Steven is referring to is Opal, a powerful warrior created when Amethyst and I fused together." "Huh, that would be pretty cool to see," said Naruto as he motioned the others to follow him to the temple. "Garnet-sensei has a mission for us. She mentioned something about beetles or something." Pearl looked at Naruto before she asked, "Are you okay to join us?" Naruto flexed his arm as he said, "With Kurama's help, I've always been a pretty fast healer, and I'm healing much better thanks to my gem's power as well." "If you say so," said Amethyst as the group arrived in the temple where Garnet was waiting for them as Steven rushed toward the leader. "Did you bring me a souvenir?" Steven asked before Garnet handed him a small rock. "Whoa, a rock! A rock?" Naruto thought in confusion at the boy's excitement over a simple stone, unless. "It's just a rock, kid," said Kurama from inside Naruto's mind. "Just a worthless paperweight." "So how was your mission?" Pearl asked as she approached Garnet. "I've located the geo-beetles of heaven and earth," said Garnet with her usual professionalism. "We should split up to retrieve them." This should be interesting, Naruto thought as a certain bug user appeared in his mind. Bet Shino would have loved this mission, I think. "Well, I'm going with not Pearl," said Amethyst as Pearl gave her an annoyed look. "That's perfect because I don't want to go with grammatically incorrect people anyway," said Pearl in a calm tone. "You four go together," said Garnet. "I go alone." "What?" asked Amethyst, Pearl, and Naruto at the same time. "Why?" Naruto was about to speak when Garnet said, "The earth beetle is at the bottom of a boiling lava lake and only I can swim in lava." Garnet brought her hands together as goggles formed over her sunglasses. "You'll find the heaven beetle at the top of the sky spire," Garnet continued as she looked at the others. "It's safer." She means boring, Naruto thought as he actually wanted to go with Garnet to see what she can do on missions before he saw Amethyst, Pearl, and Steven head towards the teleporter. Naruto was about to join them when Garnet placed a hand on his shoulder. "Please be careful," said Garnet with a slightly less stern voice. "And be sure to help Steven keep the harmony." Naruto nodded before joining the others and teleported away towards their destination. Even though she knew Kurama and the others would keep Naruto safe, Garnet still had a hint of worry for the small blonde since Naruto had passed out after the battle against the giant crab monster. She didn't know what it was, but Garnet couldn't explain the feelings she would have towards Naruto. She knew it wasn't the romantic love like she had seen on Pearl's face, but instead it was a different kind of love, like she wanted to protect her little boy and harm those who would dare hurt her child. "Please be careful," Garnet said as she faced the teleporter, as she had a strange feeling in her heart. Sky Spire. The gems, minus Garnet, had arrived near their destination as Naruto fell off the teleporter with the world spinning around him. "Naruto," said Pearl as she dashed towards Naruto's side and helped the blonde get to his feet. "Are you alright?" Naruto shook his head as he said, "Yeah, I'm fine, just wasn't used to that sudden rush is all." After the world corrected itself, Naruto looked to see the site of the mountain and couldn't help but stare in awe at the sight. "Whoa," said Steven with awe in his eyes. "Is this where the heaven beetle lives?" Pearl looked as she said, "Apparently." Amethyst crossed her arms as she then said, "All the way at the top." The group ventured on the path as Steven asked questions about Opal, with the occasional offering to make the mission shorter by having Pearl and Amethyst fuse into Opal. "Is this what it's like being around me?" Naruto mentally asked as they continued up the stairs while Pearl and Amethyst shot down offer after offer. "Not until he mellows out," Kurama answered. "You, on the other hand, may never mellow out, Kit. Your Uzumaki blood allows you to just bounce back after just a 5-minute nap after an entire week of non-stop training." As the group reached the top of the first flight of stairs, they reached a small path with bushes near the path. One of the bushes moved as Pearl and Amethyst brought out their weapons while Naruto brought out a kunai, and the trio were ready for a fight when a goat jumped out of the brush. "It's a magical goat guardian," said Steven as he hid behind the group. "You need to form Opal before it kills us all." "Really?" Naruto thought as he placed the kunai back in the pouch Garnet had given him. "We only fuse in a deadly situation," Pearl said as she approached the goat and held her hands towards it. "Does this look like a deadly situation?" "Chomp." "Ow!" Pearl yelped as she drew her hand away. "Hey! Bad mountain goat!" Amethyst fell over laughing at Pearl's plight while Naruto was tempted to make goat burgers. "Oh!" Steven sighed disappointedly. "I really wanted to see Opal." The young boy drew in a breath as he began to sing. "All I want to do is see you turn into a giant woman." "A giant woman?" "All I want to be is someone who gets to see a giant woman." "A giant woman?" Naruto, Pearl and Amethyst looked at Steven sadly as it was disheartening to see the boy sad. They continued their journey while Steven continued to sing. "All I want to do is help you turn into a giant woman." "A giant woman?" "All I want to be is someone who gets to see a giant woman." "Oh, I know it'll be great, and I just can't see the person you are together. If you give it a chance, you can do a huge dance. Because you are a giant woman." The group traveled while Naruto noticed Pearl and Amethyst messing with each other. It was reminding him about his life in Konoha when Team 7 was just starting out, as it was really dysfunctional during the D-ranked missions they would do, and Sakura and Sasuke would hardly spend time with him. He shook the memories with those two out of his head as he thought, "I need to forget about the past. We were never friends in the beginning anyway." Pearl stole a glance towards Naruto and saw the hurt scowl on the blonde's face and knew that the boy was thinking about his painful past. She wanted to do something to help the blonde, but she didn't know where to start. "That look really doesn't suit Naruto," Pearl thought as she continued to walk on the path. "I wish for a way to help you get over that dreadful past. You might even like being together, and if you don't, it won't be forever. But if it were me, I'd really want to be a giant woman." "A giant woman?" "All I want to do is see you turn into a giant woman." As Steven finished the song, the group stopped at a bunch of floating rocks while the goat jumped across each one with great ease. Naruto stole a glance over the edge to see nothing but clouds before his skin turned pale. "Wait up, Steven Jr." Steven called as he was about to jump before Pearl stopped him. "Wait, I'm not sure if you could make those jumps," said Pearl as she held Steven back. "You should fuse into Opal and lay across the rocks like a bridge," said Steven as inside Naruto's mind Kurama could help but face fault at the idea. "That would be easy," said Amethyst as she grabbed Steven at the waist. "But not as easy as this." To the surprise and horror of Naruto and Pearl, the purple gem tossed Steven onto a floating rock before landing next to him. "Steven!" cried the two of them before the boy smiled. "It's all right, you guys, see?" said Steven as he and Amethyst made the rock move before Steven fell off. Pearl quickly dove as Amethyst brought out her whip and wrapped it around Pearl. Naruto watched in awe as Pearl had grabbed Steven before Amethyst pulled them onto the rocks safely. "That was great how you two worked together like that," said Steven before he asked. "Why don't you two do that all the time?" The two gems looked away before crossing the rocks with Naruto following easily thanks to his shinobi skills, wondering about the same thing. The group managed to reach the top to see a platform with a small little temple in the center of a lake. "I can't feel my legs anymore," said Steven before he saw the temple and dashed towards it. "Hey, look at that! That boundless energy must be a part of the gem's power," Naruto thought in amaze as Steven and Pearl observed the temple. But where's the beetle? Pearl asked after Steven mentioned the contents inside. The heaven beetle wouldn't leave, would it? Oh, it could be anywhere. Amethyst scoffed as she said. Maybe you should freak out more. That's really going to help us find it. Pearl angrily stomped towards Amethyst as the two started to argue again. Seriously? Naruto thought as he face-palmed at the two, is this what Kakashi-sensei had to deal with? Kid, said Kurama as a cry echoed in the sky. You need to get Steven and move, like now. Before Naruto could ask, a loud explosion was heard as a giant bird with shadowy feather appeared from the water behind Naruto. Naruto, look out! Cried Pearl and Amethyst with Steven somehow already next to them. Naruto turned to see the bird as a thought, I really need to work on my attention span. Naruto was about to perform a substitution when the giant bird had swallowed both him and the goat. Naruto! Pearl screeched in horror before she summoned her spear and threw the weapon towards the monster, only for the bird to eat the weapon. Amethyst grabbed Steven and pulled him inside the nearby building as she said, In here, guys! Pearl hesitantly gave the bird another glance before dashing inside the building, praying that Naruto might be safe. Inside the bird, Naruto had gotten up after narrowly avoiding Pearl's spear before the weapon could impale him. Okay, this is the second time that I was eaten, said Naruto as he looked around to see all sorts of junk along with a few skeletons and rusted weapons. Naruto heard the sound of bleeding as he turned to see the mountain goat gnawing on a small yellow beetle. That must be the heaven beetle, Naruto said as he pried the beetle out of the goat's mouth, just in time for Steven to slid inside. Steven, said Naruto as he rushed towards the boy's side. You okay? Steven got up and saw the beetle in the blonde's hand before he said, Is that the heaven beetle? Naruto pocketed the shining bug as he looked around and said, How about we bust out of here before we become bird droppings? Naruto formed a hand seal as he then said, Multi-shadow clone jutsu! Steven's eyes went completely wide with amazement as a multitude of Narutos appeared and began to crowd the birds inside. The real Naruto grabbed Steven and the goat as he said, Hang on, this might get really messy. Just outside, an incredibly tall, four-armed woman with pale violet skin with two opals resting on her forehead and upon her breasts, wearing clothes similar to Pearl's, stood facing the giant bird. The woman was about to act when she saw the giant bird blow up before exploding in a flash of light, while Naruto was falling with Steven and the goat in his arms. Naruto! Steven! Said the woman before she jumped into the sky and grabbed the trio before landing in the water. Steven looked up to see the woman set the goat aside before he asked, Opal? Before the woman could respond, the small fragments of the large bird then formed into smaller versions of the bird and began to charge towards her. The giant gracefully dodged the attacking birds before sliding down the stairs and leaping onto the adjacent island. Stay low, you two, said Opal as she set Steven and Naruto down before bringing out Amethyst's whip along with Pearl's spear. The two weapons then combined to form a bow that was just as tall as her before she drew back the string with two hands while the other two held the bow tightly. A brightly glowing arrow formed in the bow as the woman aimed toward the flock of attacking birds. Naruto quickly summoned his claws should any of the birds avoid Opal's attack, but saw the arrow fly into the middle of the flock and glowed brightly as each of the birds were evaporated into light. Holy crap, Naruto thought in awe at the spectacle, she's incredibly powerful. After the light faded, the woman approached the two and helped Steven onto his feet. Feeling awkward about the new woman, Steven asked, Do you know who I am? Opal smiled and chuckled before she began to sing. All you want to do is see me turn into. With stars in his eyes, Steven quietly said, A giant woman! Opal and Naruto sent their weapons away while the giant woman picked up the blonde and Steven and placed them onto her shoulders before heading back towards the teleporters so that they could head back home. Kanehigakure. Hinata was in her room at the Hyuga estate as she was carefully massaging her aching shoulders after a grueling training session with Tsunade. She felt like that she was crushed repeatedly by multiple boulders. Lady Tsunade had warned me that she wasn't going to hold back this time, Hinata thought as she was about to remove her shirt before she heard a knock at her door. In a minute, said Hinata as she lowered her shirt and fixed it. Come in. The door opened to reveal Niji with a small tray that had a teapot and a cup resting on it. Your father wished for me to bring you some tea, Hinata-sama, said Niji as he gently placed the tray nearby and poured some tea into the cup. He would also like to know how your training with the Hokage is going. Hinata picked up the cup and took a small drink before she said, My training is quite difficult, but very fulfilling as the hard work will pay off in the long run. I'll tell father more about it shortly after I let my body rest. Niji nodded and understood what his cousin had to go through, as he had seen a bit of Hinata's training under the Godame. The chakra training were not all that difficult as most of those sessions were focused on chakra control and mental concentration, but the physical training, those sessions were brutal as Tsunade held nothing back as Shizen and Kurenai would stand by and healed some of Hinata's injuries. Her training sessions actually makes Gai-sensei's look like basic academy training, Niji thought as he had to suppress a shiver at the comparison between the two. Niji, Hinata asked as she set the empty cup down on the tray. Do you think that we'll ever see Naruto-kun again? When Tsunade had revealed to the now Konoha 9 that Naruto was still alive, everyone was excited to hear that their favorite blonde was still okay. Tsunade had then told them that while Naruto is still alive, there was no way of finding Naruto save for going out and searching for him. The Konoha 9 were about to ask for missions outside of the village when Tsunade had told them that going out and finding Naruto would take a very long time as the search would have to expand into other countries and so many islands that finding the blonde would possibly take years, if not months, of searching. While a few brought up Naruto's contract with the Toads, Tsunade once again shot the idea down as even they somehow can't reach the blonde, stating that Naruto might be somewhere that reverse summoning can't reach, or even a possibility of something preventing Naruto from summoning them. After the meeting, Tsunade had all of the Konoha 9 and their senseis, Kakashi included, to swear to not reveal the secret to anyone both in and out of the village as such information could cause more trouble for both Konoha and Naruto. I'm afraid I cannot answer, Hinata-sama, said Niji with a sigh of defeat. All we can do is pray for his safety until the day we can bring him back. Hinata sadly nodded as she knew her cousin was right, as it might be years before she could see that ball of sunshine again. Thank you, Niji, said Hinata as she faced her cousin. You can head on out. Give father my thanks for the tea. Niji nodded as he picked up the tray, and he was about to leave when he stopped. Hinata-sama, said Niji as he faced away from Hinata to hide the forming tears in his eyes. I wish to apologize about my behavior during our match in the Chunin exams. I let my anger get the best of me and tried to take it all out on you. Hinata let out a sigh as she had gone over this many times with Niji. I have told you already that I forgive you for doing that, said Hinata as she didn't like to see Niji beat himself up over this. You need to let go as this is hurting you. I have forgiven you many times and I really can't stand the sight of you harming yourself. A small tear rolled down Niji's cheek as he said, I know, Hinata-sama, but I still cannot forgive myself for letting myself be easily controlled by my anger, my hatred. Hinata walked towards Niji and gave her cousin a hug as she said, That is all you have to do in order to get over this pain. You have to forgive yourself as this is only going to hold you back. Niji smiled as his cousin's words rang true in his head, as all he need to do is forgive himself. Thank you, Hinata-sama, for your kind words, Niji said as Hinata slowly walked towards her bed. You have a good evening. The Hyuga closed the door behind him as he left Hinata's room, feeling a great burden lifted off of his shoulders. Thank you, Hinata-sama, Niji thought as he traveled down the hall, and thank you, Naruto-san. Beach City, Crystal Temple. Garnet stood by the teleporter as she was drying the remaining lava from her afro when a bright light signaled the return of Steven and his group. Garnet smiled as standing behind Steven and Naruto was someone she hasn't seen in quite a while, Opal. So those two finally formed Opal again, Garnet thought as she approached the group. The Heaven Beetle? Garnet asked as she hung the towel around her shoulders. Opal's eyes opened up in shock as she said, I don't have it! A flash of light shone as Opal was split back into Pearl and Amethyst as the two crashed onto the floor. Amethyst, said Pearl as she sat up in shock. You were distracted. Amethyst looked back and said, Hey, you were the one getting carried away with those fancy backflips. Naruto reached into his pocket and pulled out a small yellow beetle and asked, Is this it? Garnet smiled and said, Good job, you two. The gems brought out a small carrier where a dark blue beetle was resting inside as she put the heaven beetle inside before teleporting the carrier away. I also see that you got your teammates to fuse. Steven puffed out his chest as he proudly said. And all it took was me and Naruto getting eaten by a bird. Did he really have to say it like that? Naruto thought as he could have sworn he could feel the slime from the insides of that bird. Great work, said Garnet as she walked away. You'll be great at fusing one day. Steven smiled with pride before he said, Wait, I can do that too. Pearl, Amethyst, and Naruto looked at each other with one similar thought, oh boy. It was the middle of the night as Naruto and Steven had gone to sleep with Steven in his bed while Naruto was on the couch. The door that led deeper into the temple opened to reveal Garnet wearing gray sweats and a black sports bra as she was taking a light break from her training. The sound of rustling sheets and whimpering alerted the woman towards the couch as Garnet saw Naruto tossing and turning restlessly. No, please, don't leave me, Naruto wearily said in his sleep. I'm sorry. He must be having a nightmare, Garnet thought as she quietly approached the sleeping blonde. She carefully kneeled and saw the cold sweat on Naruto's face, seeing the troubled and frightened look on the blonde's sleeping face. Something must have come up during the mission and reminded him of his past, Garnet thought as she looked around before removing her sunglasses, revealing her 3 eyes. Naruto, Garnet whispered as she gently placed a hand on Naruto's face and gently rubbed his whiskered cheek with her thumb. It seemed to have worked as Naruto had greatly calmed down with a warm smile on his face. Garnet smiled lovingly as she looked at the blonde and felt warmth inside of her heart before Naruto spoke again. Ka-chan, Naruto said in his sleep, still unaware of Garnet kneeling nearby. I love you. Did he just call me, mother? Garnet thought in shock before she got to her feet and headed back to her room. As she entered her room, Garnet looked over her schedule she had set up for both Naruto and Steven while her mind was still mulling over what Naruto had unwittingly called her. Garnet knew that the gems she and the others bear worked as universal translators as she had told Naruto the reason why he could understand everyone and vice versa, with Naruto occasionally speaking in his native tongue with certain words like sensei, one of the words for teacher or mentor. She could understand why Naruto would refer to her as a teacher, but a mother? True, she along with Pearl, Amethyst, and Greg had raised Steven after Rose had given up her physical form, but Naruto was somehow different. He never knew who his parents were as no one had told him aside that they had died on the night he was born, Garnet thought sadly as she remembered that Naruto was an orphan. But how could I somehow provide what a mother could? I only know the love that Rose had given us, but what should I do? Sighing in defeat, Garnet decided to get some sleep to help ease her mind with what to do from here. Beach City, Crystal Temple. Outside the temple, Naruto was sitting on the beach along with Steven as the two of them were waiting for Garnet to arrive for their training. Kit, Kurama spoke to Naruto from inside the blonde's mind. Kit, I think you should teach Steven a thing or two about chakra. It might help him in the long run. Wait a minute, Naruto spoke to the fox in confusion. Are you saying, train Steven into being a ninja? Not exactly, said Kurama as he laid down on the floor inside Naruto's mind. I mean, help him unlock his chakra and teach him a few easy jutsus like substitution and henge. We're not going to teach him any advanced jutsus, just simple academy jutsus. I don't know, Kurama, Naruto thought as he tried imagining Steven using chakra. I'm not sure if it's a good idea or if the others will allow it. Well, Kit, from how I'm seeing it, he's just like you in terms of eagerness, Kurama said as he rolled his neck around. He's hyped up, and with all of that energy he has, Steven's more likely to rush headfirst without even a decent idea on how to approach the enemy, which will lead him into getting someone seriously hurt or killed. If he learns substitution, Steven could avoid serious injury, and with the henge, it will be easier for Steven to learn how to shape-shift. It's an easy win-win for both sides as you also learn a few ideas on how to better use the jutsus in combination with the amber gems. What about the others? Naruto asked as he had a slight feeling that the other gems might want to join in, especially Amethyst. I'm not sure if full-blooded crystal gems could use chakra, Kurama said as he knew that the blonde would ask that question. But even if they were just part gems like you and Steven, it will be next to impossible as their chakra coils would have been permanently set. With age does come wisdom, but that also brings difficulties with learning a new trick or two. You can't teach an old dog new tricks or anything about chakra. I'll mull over it, Naruto thought as he saw the gems approach them. I'll ask them if I decide to go with it. Morning, said Garnet as she looked at the two. The others and I have talking and we believe that it would be quite helpful if Steven learned how to use chakra. This got a shocked look from Naruto and a look of excitement from Steven as it was coincidence and unexpected respectively. You guys sure? Asked Naruto as Steven looked at the blonde expectantly with stars in his eyes. Oh come on please! Steven begged as he got on his knees. It would be really cool to do all the stuff you can do. Please! 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 Kit, said Kurama with annoyance in his voice. Bring me out before his incessant begging makes my ears bleed. Naruto quickly brought out a Kurama-possessed clone as the clone looked at everyone as he rubbed his ear. If you want Steven to learn a thing or two, then I'll help the Kit in teaching Steven, said Kurama as he rubbed a knuckle against his shirt. But he must do as I say when he's training with the Kit. Kurama gave Steven a studying look as he said, It shouldn't be too hard since Steven is about 12, so unlocking his chakra wouldn't be a problem. In fact, I was actually talking to Naruto about teaching Steven a couple of simple jutsus that will keep him safe and help him with tapping into his gem's power. Steven smiled excitedly as he then asked, Could the others learn Naruto's cool jutsus as well? I'm not sure if it's possible for them to learn how to use chakra, said Kurama as he crossed his arms thoughtfully. In the shinobi world, age can greatly affect unlocking one's chakra for the first time. Children have the easiest time as their chakra coils, a system that allows chakra to travel through the body, are still undeveloped until the age of 14 where the coils set permanently, meaning no possible hopes for a teenager to unlock their chakra. Pearl's eyes widened as she said, That means we only have 2 years left until it's too late. Plenty of time as Steven has others aside from Naruto and Kurama who have unlocked their chakra, said Garnet, getting a confused look from the others. There are others? Asked Naruto as he wondered what his mentor was meaning. Garnet brought her hands to a hand seal as another Garnet appeared out of the blue. How? Asked Kurama as he couldn't help but show his curiosity. I linked my mind with the energies of all existing matter and channeled the collected energy through my gems, Garnet explained while the other Garnet finished. The first time resulted in unlocking my chakra, and from there, I've trained in learning how to use that energy to provide a small boost to my skills. Impressive, said Kurama with a smirk. But it will take more than just training to improve jutsus, as one must train in chakra control to ensure that a shinobi won't be wasting chakra with just one jutsu. The possessed clone then looked at Steven as he said, First though, we should unlock your chakra. Now do as I do. Kurama sat cross-legged and formed the tiger seal, while Steven copied him. Now focus your mind as you reach out to that power, said Kurama as Steven closed his eyes. Just relax and you'll know that you've found your chakra. Steven steadied his breathing as he tried to tap into his chakra, and he knew that he didn't have a lot of time. He calmed his mind as he felt the wind in his curly hair while the sea breeze danced on his skin, giving him a chill. I've never seen Steven like this, said Pearl as she was surprised at how Steven was doing. He's normally so energetic. I wonder what brought this out. Garnet smiled as she then said, He wants to impress his brother. Amethyst looked at the older gem and asked, Brother? Pearl and Amethyst looked to see Naruto watching with angst-filled nervousness in hopes that Steven might succeed. It sent a silent message, but the two saw the faith in Naruto's eyes as hope was filling them. Steven drew in a breath as he felt something warm in his gut, and then a warm burning, and he was feeling more energized. You did it, Steven! Naruto said as Steven opened his eyes to see the blonde's bright smile. You unlocked your chakra! Steven got to his feet in excitement as he could feel the invigorating energy inside of him. Alright, this is so cool! Said Steven as he pumped his fist before he faced Naruto with stars in his eyes. So when can I learn cool jutsus? Hold it, Gaki, said Kurama as he got to his feet and dusted the sand off of him. You may have unlocked your chakra, But you are nowhere near learning any of the jutsus besides substitution and henge until we see that you are ready. The possessed clone disappeared briefly before reappearing with small leaves in his hand. The first thing you are going to is learn how to concentrate your chakra, Kurama said as he placed one of the leaves on his forehead and made it spin without even touching it. The exercise I'm showing you helps you with concentrating your chakra by moving the leaf on your forehead using chakra alone. I'll supervise while Naruto works on his chakra control through his water walking exercises. Now get to work. The two nodded as they went off to their exercises with Kurama following them. The gems watched as Steven was focusing on the leaf on his forehead, while Naruto was going through some stances that Garnet had shown him while standing on the water. This is boring, said Amethyst as she placed a hand on her cheek as she watched the two before she saw Pearl walk towards where Naruto was. Where are you going? Naruto paused momentarily as he saw Pearl walk on the water towards him. You can use chakra too? Naruto asked in shock as he had to regain his balance. Pearl nodded as she summoned her spear and asked, Up for a quick spar? Naruto smiled as he summoned his claws, sending a silent message to Pearl. Seriously? Amethyst asked in disbelief. Even Pearl can use that chakra energy? Am I the only one who doesn't know about this? Kurama then walked towards the purple gem and said, Apparently, but don't take it too hard as one of Naruto's friends couldn't even bring out his chakra. Amethyst looked at Kurama as Garnet decided to join Steven with the leaf exercise. Rock Lee could never properly mold his chakra to learn jutsus, said the possessed clone as he watched the others train. But he never let it get to him as he became an expert in taijutsu, or hand-to-hand combat, making him a force to be reckoned with next to his sensei and idol. Lee is proof that you don't need to have chakra to be a great shinobi or warrior, as his spirit is fierce enough to let him smirk right at death's face and get out alive. Kurama chuckled at the memory of Lee's fight with Shikaku's Jinchuriki, as it was the most impressive fight against a Jinchuriki the fox had ever seen. He just wished he had a video camera so that he could have recorded the look of mass confusion on Gaara's face as Lee was just running faster than the sand could keep up. That was one hell of a fight, the possessed clone thought as he saw the leaf twitching on Steven's forehead. Amethyst thought about what Kurama had said and smiled a bit at the demon's wisdom. She may not have unlocked her chakra, but if there was a shinobi from where Naruto was from that can fight without chakra, then she can become a great fighter as well. I know that the others might be stronger than me, the gem thought as she watched Pearl and Naruto spar, but Kurama is right, I can still be a great fighter without that silly chakra stuff, just like Lee. Konohagakure. Lee was sparring with Tenten until he felt something odd. You alright, Lee? Tenten asked with slight concern, with a silent wish that her taijutsu-loving friend wouldn't begin ranting about Guy's teachings. I cannot help but feel like someone out there is thinking about me, like a kindred spirit. Before Tenten could react, Lee had a huge smile on his face as he shouted, I must train hard enough so that I may have a chance of meeting this person. And just like that, Lee had suddenly just dashed off to train on his own and left his teammate to wonder what the hell had just happened. Sometimes I suspect Lee is Guy-sensei's very own son, Niji thought as he practiced the katas of his Hyuga-style taijutsu. No one person could look like another without being directly related in such a manner. Guy, however, was just smiling in pride at Lee's enthusiasm as meeting this kindred spirit, and hoped the best for his young apprentice. Beach City, Crystal Temple. A few days had passed, and the gem's skills have improved greatly thanks to the additional training with their chakra, while Amethyst's greatly improved her skills with her spars against the others save for Steven. Steven had actually improved quite a bit with Naruto's guidance on his chakra exercise, as the young boy was now learning substitution from the blonde. Naruto's own training had improved as well, as even though he still needed a clone with forming the Rasengan, Naruto was able to briefly use a single hand for just a few seconds before the jutsu would just evaporate or weaken. Naruto was laying on the sand taking a nice nap in his swimming trunks along with a pair of orange-tinted aviator sunglasses as he let the cool sea breeze dance around his bare skin. The blonde never noticed Pearl sitting next to him and silently observing him. I can't believe how handsome he is, Pearl thought with a small bluish blush forming on her face. He's almost like something out of a magazine. The gem studied the blonde's body before she saw the large circular scar near Naruto's right shoulder with a silent gasp. That scar, Pearl thought as a lump formed in her throat at the thought of what could have caused it. He's incredibly lucky to have survived such a life-threatening injury. With fearful curiosity, Pearl carefully reached to gently touch the scar with her heart pounding in her head. She had just touched it when Naruto jolted upwards in sudden shock. Naruto's and Pearl's faces then collided suddenly with their lips touching in surprise. The accidental kiss lasted just a few seconds when to Naruto and Pearl it was hours before the two separated. Pearl, said Naruto as he was trying to get his mind together. Wow, what are you doing here? Pearl, trying to get her mind in order as well, swallowed a lump before she said, I was just checking up on you when I noticed that scar. Naruto then looked to see the scar on his chest as his surprised face suddenly darkened. This is the scar that I received during my fight with Sasuke, Naruto said melancholically with Pearl listening intently. When he used a jutsu that our sensei had taught him, the Chidori. Naruto then went on to explain about how he along with a few others had gone after Sasuke to prevent him from defecting to Otogekyo before explaining about his fight with the Uchiha, and how fierce the battle was. It was then he shoved a Chidori right here, Naruto said as he carefully touched the scar before slightly twitching from the touch. I can still feel the electricity from it today as this scar is still sensitive to the touch. Pearl looked at Naruto with sadness and awe as the blonde then showed a similar scar on his back, right at the same spot. I'm sorry, Naruto, said Pearl as she looked away ashamed. I made you look back on a horrible memory when I should have left the scar alone. Naruto removed his sunglasses and gently placing a hand on Pearl's hand as he said, You don't have anything to apologize for as I would have brought this scar's history up anyway. Pearl looked at Naruto and saw the shining blue eyes looking at her while the blonde saw beautiful diamond-like eyes sadly watching him. Such beautiful eyes, the two thought as they were lost and were about to kiss when... Hey Pearl! Naruto! Steven hollered as he ran across the sand while the two awkwardly looked away in embarrassment about nearly kissing each other. What is it, Steven? Naruto asked as he reached for his shirt. Amethyst wanted me to get you guys for a quick training session before Garnet returns from her mission, said Steven as he looked at Pearl and Naruto in confusion. Did something happen? The two blushed as Pearl said, We were just talking. Alright, Naruto? Naruto nodded as he buttoned up his shirt and said, Why yeah. Come on, we better not let Amethyst wait too long. The trio then headed towards the temple, unaware that Amethyst was looking at them through the window in Steven's room. Damn it! The gem cursed as she looked away and entered the kitchen area. It was so close to. What was so close, Amethyst? Garnet asked as she suddenly appeared, startling the purple gem. Well, Amethyst said as she tried to think of something before giving up. Pearl and Naruto were about to kiss each other. Garnet mentally smiled to herself as she wanted Naruto to try and get over his past along with Pearl tried to admit her feelings towards the blonde. Those two are getting closer to something great, Garnet thought as Pearl, Steven, and Naruto entered. What's up, Garnet-sensei? Naruto asked as he hung his sunglasses on the neck of his shirt. I have a mission for you, Pearl and Amethyst. I'll stay here with Steven for today. The three left after Garnet had told them what to do as it was just Garnet and Steven at the temple. So what are we going to do today? Steven asked with excitement. We are going to be doing some chakra training before working on your gem's power, said Garnet as the two headed out towards the beach for their training session. Dream. Garnet had found herself in a thick forest as the full moon brightly shone above the trees. Pearl? Garnet called out in hopes of finding her friends. Amethyst? Steven? Naruto? The woman walked through the forest while calling out for her friends until she faintly heard something in the distance, deeper into the forest. Garnet ran through the woods as she followed the echoing sound in hopes of finding its source. She ran until she found a small little shack in a small clearing. Hello? Garnet asked as she carefully approached the shack. Is someone there? A scream of pain erupted from the shack as the crystal gem quickly rushed inside and leapt down the stairs before running down the hall. So much for this being a little shack, Garnet thought as she finally approached a large room where in the middle was a beautiful woman with long red hair and violet eyes resting on what looked like some sort of bed, out of breath and holding a small wrapped blanket. Next to the woman was a figure, and even though she couldn't fully see it, Garnet immediately knew that the shadow was a man. "He's so beautiful, isn't he?" said the woman as the man peeked at the blanket with cerulean eyes. "Of course he is, Kushina," said the man before an alarmed look formed on his eyes. "I have to go now." "I love you, Kushina-chan." The man dashed away, and even though she was a mere breath away, Garnet couldn't see any more than the man's bright blue eyes and a spiky silhouette on top of his head. "Garnet," said a voice alerting said Gem. "Over here." Garnet looked to see the red-haired woman beckoning towards her. Garnet approached the bedridden woman with caution. "Hello, Garnet," said the woman with a weakened breath. "I see you are quite the strong woman, the perfect woman to care for my little maelstrom." Surprised, Garnet asked, "What are you talking about? What are you planning?" The woman handed Garnet the wrapped blanket before she bundled up a bunch of rags that were soaked with blood and body fluids to look like the bundle in Garnet's arms. "I wish we could have been there more for him when he needs it," said the woman as tears slowly formed in her eyes. "But please, care for my child, please take care of my maelstrom." Before Garnet could blink, a masked man appeared to snatch away the blanket before dashing out. Garnet was stunned as the woman in the shack vanished, which just left her and the wrapped blanket. The crystal gem then heard a small, familiar sound from the bundle and decided to carefully unwrap the blanket. Garnet's 3 eyes widened with the candle lights reflecting off of them as all 3 eyes were focused on a little infant that had 3 whisker-like marks on its face with a mop of lightly damp blonde hair. Nah, said Garnet with shock as the infant opened his eyes to reveal cerulean blue orbs looking at her. "Naruto?" Time slowed down as Garnet watched the small infant version of Naruto grab her fingers and began sucking on them cutely. Despite her frozen state, Garnet smiled at how adorable Naruto looked as an infant, just like Steven was when he was just an infant. "Hey there," said Garnet with a soft and gentle voice as she removed her fingers from the infant's mouth in favor of playfully teasing the baby Naruto's nose. "Give him to me," said a new voice as Garnet looked around to find herself in complete darkness. "Give me the dobe!" Garnet protectively leaned the infant into her shoulder as she searched for the source of the voice, before finding 2 red eyes staring intently at her while taking occasional glances towards the infant. "Give me Naruto!" ordered the eyes with 3 black commas spinning around in an orbit near the pupil. "Now!" A small cry escaped from baby Naruto's mouth due to how loud the voice was. "I'll never let you have my baby!" Garnet growled as she tried to comfort the crying baby in her arms. "I'll never let you hurt my child!" The red eyes narrowed before the owner of those eyes stepped out of the darkness to reveal a teenage boy with black hair wearing a blue shirt and tannish pants. "I'm only going to say this once more," the boy threatened as he held his hand towards the ground. "Give me the baby, now!" Garnet sent a defiant sneer towards the boy as she stole a quick glance towards the boy's hand to see lightning form around it. Garnet couldn't move in time as a blast of electricity struck her legs, making her fall to the ground. "Naruto?" the fallen Garnet asked as she searched for the infant before she heard the sound of crying. "Naruto!" Garnet looked to see a horrific sight. The boy from the darkness was holding the baby Naruto upside down by his ankle. "Put him down!" Garnet ordered, as she tried to pull herself up before she saw the boy holding a lightning-covered hand away while the darkness was somehow pulling the gem away into the deeper shadows. "I will finally have my revenge," said the boy as a maniacal grin formed on his face. "Chidori! Naruto! Dream end! Naruto!" Garnet cried as she quickly jolted awake, nearly out of breath. The crystal gem looked around to find that she was still in her room, on her bed. "Just a dream," Garnet said to herself as she tried to catch her breath. "A horrible, horrible dream." She rubbed a hand over her eyes as the dream played in her mind from walking through the forest to the boy, that boy killing a defenseless infant Naruto. Garnet got up from her bed wearing the pink nightgown as she walked towards the door. The door opened to reveal that it was night as Naruto was curled up under the blanket on the couch. "Maybe I should let him try and find a room in the temple," Garnet thought to herself as she crept toward the couch as to not disturb the sleeping blonde. "He shouldn't be sleeping on this couch. It's not healthy." Garnet then thought back to her dream as the woman from it had asked her to take care of Naruto, as apparently the woman had died before her time, leaving the poor child without a mother. I promised Kushina that I will take care of Naruto, Garnet thought as she carefully picked up the blonde in her arms lovingly before heading towards the temple part of their home. I'll care for him as if he were my own little maelstrom. Naruto slowly opened his eyes as he woke up, as he had an odd dream about a woman loving him like a mother after finding him in an abandoned alley. Where am I? Naruto asked as he rubbed the sleep out of his eyes to find himself somewhere else instead of the living area he was sleeping at before. The blonde looked around until he saw a desk near the bed he was on with a small note. Naruto picked the note up as it read. Naruto, I moved you to my room as I thought you should be sleeping in a bed instead of a couch for the rest of the night. I have already set out a fresh pair of clothes for you on the other counter near the bed. The others and I had to investigate a foul odor coming from Amethyst's room, so I'll be back soon. You are welcome to use the training equipment in the room to improve with your skills. I have drawn a map that should lead you to Amethyst's room for you should you decide to join us. If not, just stay in my room until I come back. Garnet. Naruto saw the map and saw that there was just a simple path past the burning room before taking the stairs to Pearl's room, where Naruto would just have to take the waterfall that ran into Amethyst's room. The blonde changed into the clothes that Garnet had set aside for him before venturing off towards Amethyst's room. It took traveling through a few other rooms. One was an actual forest with its own sky, before he reached a large room with spheres containing many different gems and other items. A cage within a cage? Naruto said to himself as he saw the carrier that had the 2 geo beetles. Now that's just a bit excessive. A loud wet pop was heard as Naruto looked around until he saw a small pool of lava right in the middle of the room. The blonde carefully approached the small pool to take a closer look until a bubble popped in front of him. Yow! Naruto cried as he quickly turned away to shield his eyes before a tiny blob landed on the back of his shorts, setting them on fire. Wwwwww. Naruto began to roll around on the floor in hopes of putting the fire out, but the flames were growing. Hot! 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 Naruto cried as he got to his feet and ran while trying to put the flames out with his hands. My ass is on fire! My ass is on fire! Kurama sighed as he said to himself with a dark chuckle. Kit's got himself a pair of hot pants. Bwahahaha! Naruto continued to run around in circles before running down a random hall with his shorts were still ablaze as he shouted. That's not funny! In Amethyst's room, Steven had just left to prepare the many parties that the gems had missed as Amethyst slowly crawled towards the lake in her room before dunking her head into the water to wash away the bile in her mouth. Serves you right for eating a 5-year-old tuna burrito, said Pearl as she shook her head in disappointment until a ball of fire slammed into the water. Amethyst quickly jumped away as she and the other gems were ready for a fight when they saw Naruto swim up to the surface. Hey everyone, said Naruto as he swam to the shore. Finished already? Garnet nodded as she said. The odor was coming from a 5-year-old burrito. Garnet saw the blonde before her cringe and had an idea of what consuming outdated food. And Steven is also planning a huge birthday party to make up for the many birthdays that Garnet, Amethyst, and I have missed. Pearl then added as she saw a confused look on Naruto's face. We never celebrated birthdays as it was never a part of our way. Naruto's eyebrows rose in surprise as he said, Really? You guys don't have birthdays? Garnet nodded as she heard Naruto quietly say, Better than having to live in fear on that special day. Garnet was confused about Naruto's attitude about the idea of birthdays, as she honestly thought the blonde would have jumped at the chance to throw a party for them. Garnet was about to say something when Pearl said, Steven wants us to meet him on the beach so he can throw us a birthday party. Oh, Naruto said as he was thinking quickly. I might not make it because, I have a few errands to run, so I gotta run, like now. Pearl watched in confusion as Naruto climbed onto the shore and headed towards the door before a light blue hue formed on her cheeks and her eyes widened at what she saw. I never imagined this place being so huge, said Naruto as he couldn't hear Amethyst holding her laughter. It's so huge that it has its own wind current. Unable to contain her laughter, Amethyst fell to the floor laughing as the blonde then asked, "What's so funny?" Pearl's blush had deepened as she said, Naruto, your shorts are, Before Pearl could finish forming her sentence, Amethyst looked up and said, "You have a nice ass, Naruto." "Oh, whoa." Naruto blushed a bit before turning around to see that the fire had burned the back of his shorts and boxers to reveal his slightly charred rear. Naruto quickly turned around to hide the exposure, and his face couldn't get any more red than it was before while he walked backwards away from the three girls that saw his rear. "I believe Naruto has a different view on birthdays," Garnet said as Pearl tried to calm herself from the sight she had just seen while Amethyst was still howling in laughter as she followed Naruto. "I heard him say that us not having birthdays were better than having to live in fear on a special day." Both gems had a good idea of how rough Naruto's life was after hearing about it from the very blonde, but they didn't recall him saying anything about special days. "Can I also ask you about something, Pearl?" Garnet asked as said gem had a surprised look on her face. Sure," said Pearl after regaining some of her composure, as this was rare for Garnet to ask for advice. "What is it?" "I need your advice on how to raise Naruto as a mother would," Garnet said bluntly. Pearl had a look of confusion as Garnet then told her about the feelings she had toward the blonde and then the dream she had. "You saw some boy kill an infant after the infant's mother told you to care for him?" Pearl asked in horror as the gruesome idea. "And that infant was Naruto? As in our Naruto?" Garnet nodded as she suppressed a shiver before she asked, "What should I do?" Pearl thought deeply before she said, "Well, we helped Greg raise Steven since Rose gave up her physical form so he could be born, but raising Naruto will be different since he was an orphan." The two heard Steven call out to them, or they're going to miss all the fun from the party he had set up for them. "How about we talk about it later?" Pearl suggested as she was kind of curious about what a birthday was. Garnet nodded, hiding her conflicted feelings about what to do with Naruto and how to be a mother to him as Amethyst had stopped her wild laughter with a few chuckles still escaping her mouth. "I hope we can come up with something," Garnet thought as she and Pearl headed out of the temple with the dream still on her mind. "I hope I never meet that boy from my dreams." Kanehigakure. Sasuke was fixing himself some dinner when he sneezed. "Naruto!" The Uchiha thought darkly as he scowled. He had been stripped of his rank as a shinobi, had his chakra sealed after losing that curse mark Orochimaru had given him. And the villagers were not treating him as they should have, but worst of all, he had been beaten by that dead last who was now stronger than him, and now more respected. All that stuff about Naruto being the Yandame's son as well as the son of the most feared kunoichi in Konoha was a load of crap. But he knew that the dead last had the Kyuubi sealed inside of him was true, as many of the shinobi who had lived through the Kyuubi attack and had witnessed the sealing had told him. That was power that was rightfully his and his alone. Sasuke also knew that the Konoha 9 and the senseis were hiding something from him and Sakura. When he had asked, they refused to tell him through blatant lies about not knowing anything. He remembered learning about their little funeral for the dobe, but that only angered him as he wanted to be the one to end the dobe's life. He knew that the funeral was a lie as he went to visit the grave after learning of its location, but saw that there was no grave. The Uchiha knew that the dobe was good at somehow pulling off the impossible and knew that Naruto had somehow faked his death to taunt him as well as flaunt his one victory over him. "I swear that I will find you, Naruto Uzumaki," Sasuke furiously growled as the ceramic cup broke in his grip. "And I will kill you!" Little did Sasuke or the ANBU watching him knew, a lone figure wearing a black cloak with red clouds was watching. "Foolish little brother," said Itachi with melancholy on his hidden face. "You are using your hatred for the wrong reasons." Itachi had to hold a cough in as he felt the disease slowly killing him, and knew that his time was coming soon. His time was limited and his vision was starting to give way due to his use of the Mangekyo Sharingan, but he couldn't die, not yet. "Wherever you are, Naruto," Itachi said as he quietly left the village undetected, "I believe that you are the only hope for Sasuke to redeem our family's honor. I pray that you would be ready when the time comes." Beach City, Funland. Naruto felt his scar suddenly act up as he was walking on the boardwalk, in a set of new shorts before leaving the temple, with a bag in hand as he headed towards the temple. Inside the bag was a gift for each of the gems and Steven. Even though it wasn't Steven's birthday and the gems didn't really celebrate birthdays, the blonde felt obligated to at least get them something to show his gratitude towards them. He smiled as he stole a glance at the gifts he got for them and hoped that they were good enough after saving up the money he earned doing some chores for the citizens. It wasn't much, Naruto thought as he didn't notice the fog rolling in, but hopefully it'll be enough. "Hey, Naruto," said a screechy-voiced teen wearing clothes similar to Steven's. "The hell?" Naruto thought as he stole a glance towards the teen, but he couldn't see anything due to how dark it was outside and the fog that rolled in unannounced. Who was that, and why is he wearing Steven's clothes? "I don't know, kid," said Kurama from inside Naruto's mind. "But he shares a similar energy like Steven's. We should keep an eye on him." Naruto followed the new teen into the arcade when he saw a small boy using a screwdriver to pop open one of the games and grabbed an armful of tickets. "Hey there, what are you doing?" Naruto said loudly as the little boy looked at him before bolting deeper into the arcade. Naruto quickly summoned a shadow clone as Kurama possessed it and said, "Kurama, I need you to follow that guy wearing Steven's clothes. I need to stop that kid and get those tickets back." The possessed clone nodded and said, "I'll report back if I learn anything important from him." Naruto ran through the arcade and looked down aisle after aisle in hopes of finding the little boy. I can see why Garnet-sensei would say that arcade games were dangerous, Naruto thought as he squinted a bit through the bright lights. These lights are burning my eyes. The blonde continued to run until he bumped into someone. "Watch where you're going," said a teen wearing orange pants and a blue hoodie. "Sorry," said Naruto as he got to his feet and helped the teen to his feet. "I was going after a small boy that had just stolen a bunch of tickets." The teen let out a regretful sigh as he said, "That would be Onion. I swear that kid's father needs to try and find time for his son. Name's Sour Cream." Naruto shook Sour's hand and said, "I'm Naruto Uzumaki. So the boy's father doesn't spend much time with him?" Sour placed his hands to his hoodie's pockets and said, "Onion's father is a sailor that is constantly out to sea and rarely stays no more than a few seconds before sailing off again." Naruto let out a sigh as he said, "Wow, I can't imagine what it's like as I never had any parents. I was an orphan where I'm from." "He's lucky to have a father." Sour placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder and said, "Sorry man, didn't mean to bring up any bad memories." "It's cool," said Naruto until something hit him sharply on the back of his head. "Onion!" "No," said Sour as behind Naruto was the small boy who was attacking Naruto with a plastic bat. The teen wrestled the bat away from the little boy as Naruto held his head as even though the bat was plastic, getting clubbed in the head still hurts. "I'm very sorry, Naruto, and so is Onion," said Sour as he held on to the shirt tied around Onion's neck. "Right." Onion scowled as he looked away from Naruto. "Hey Onion," said Naruto with a threatening aura from his voice as it grabbed the little boy's attention. The boy then looked at the older blonde before him with slight fear as Naruto then crouched down just eye level with the boy. "I don't think your father would like hearing about his little son becoming a delinquent," said Naruto with a stern face that could rival a Hyuga's. "But consider yourself lucky that you have a father to wait for." Naruto stood back up and faced Sour before he said, "I'd better get going, looks like it's getting pretty dark out." Sour nodded as it was indeed dark with fog rolling in and said, "It was nice meeting you and I'm sorry again about Onion." Naruto was about to exit the arcade when a voice said, "Naruto." The blonde turned to see Onion standing before him. Naruto then saw the little boy walk up to him and hugged his legs as he then asked, "Brother?" The older blonde gently smiled as he gently rustled the little tuft of blonde hair on Onion's head and said, "Sure." "I have to go now, but I need to go take care of something important first, but I'm sure you could use a good brother." Onion let go of Naruto's leg before the older blonde as Sour walked up and said, "He overheard that Naruto was an orphan, didn't you?" The little boy nodded as the two watched Naruto's shadow vanish into the fog. "Hey Onion," Sour asked the little boy, "how come you never talked to anyone else?" The teen never received an answer as Onion was somehow already gone. Naruto was about to find the teen from earlier when Kurama reappeared in his mind and frantically said, "Kid, we have a big problem. You know that kid wearing Steven's clothes?" "Yeah, what about it?" Naruto asked as if stating the obvious. That kid Steven, the fox said, shocking Naruto. I don't know what the hell happened to him, but he's rapidly aging. I thought nothing about it when he suddenly became a grown man, but while I was following him to the big donut, he was a middle-aged man and boy was really crotchety before Sadie chased him out. He was running towards the temple when I dispelled the clone. Alright, thanks, Naruto thought as he decided to rush towards the temple in hopes that Steven would be alright. Don't let me be too late. Crystal Temple. Naruto had just arrived as the gems were arguing amongst themselves, but his focus was suddenly on an elderly man wearing a red cape laying against Lion. Steven, Naruto stared in fear as the elderly man was wearing the shirt that Steven had bought earlier and fell to his knees. No! He couldn't believe what he was seeing. Little Steven, his little brother, was there before him now as an ancient-looking elderly man right at death's doorstep, all because Naruto couldn't stay for a stupid party. He couldn't hear Kurama's voice calling out to him, he couldn't hear the gems talking to Steven, he couldn't even see the amber gems losing their luster, or feel his body withering. Naruto thought as his bright blonde hair was starting to lose its shine and color, I'm alone again. The gems happily circled Steven as their lovable boy was back to normal save for a minor detail. I thought I almost lost you! Amethyst cried in joy as she buried her face in Steven's shoulder with tears staining the large shirt. Pearl wiped the tears out of her eye and she was about to ask where Naruto was before she saw a figure in the distance with Lion sniffing it. Steven, said the figure with a weak and raspy voice as the wrinkles became more prominent with its lifeless blue eyes staring at the sand. Wait a minute, blue eyes? Naruto! Pearl screeched when she saw the square gem in the figure's arm, right where Naruto's was. Everyone looked in horror as they saw the withered form of Naruto on his knees and charged towards him. Steven's gone, Naruto said as his skin was now graying and the amber gems on his arms possessing only a tiny little light in each of them. Alone, once more. Steven rushed in front and looked in the blonde's lifeless eyes and said, Naruto, look! I'm alright, see? I'm all better! Naruto. Amethyst grabbed Naruto by his shoulders and said, Naruto, you're not alone anymore, remember? Steven's still here with us and we're here with you. Don't do this to us too. Naruto, said Pearl as she moved Naruto's withered face so that he could see her. Sob asterisk, I love you. Tears were running down in gobs as Pearl continued. Ever since I first saw you, I couldn't help but think about how handsome you looked with those whisker marks giving you that roguish charm. At first I thought it was just a silly crush, but when we had that accidental kiss, I felt my heart racing a mile a minute and my mind had blanked out. Sob, it was then I learned that I was truly in love with you as all I could think about was you. Pearl desperately kissed Naruto's withered lips and pulled back only to see Naruto still turning gray as a few strands of hair fell out and turned to sand. Please! Pearl cried as she kissed Naruto again, making it deeper than before pulling back again. Come back to us! Come back to me! Garnet stared in horror, as fear had completely frozen her body at the sight of Naruto's condition. This can't be happening. Not now! Garnet thought in panic as a few more strands fell of Naruto's head and turned to sand. He's just a child, my little boy. Garnet's heart completely sank when Naruto weakly said, Ka-san, where are you? I won't let it end like this. Garnet thought as she knew what must be done. Naruto! Said Garnet as she quickly wrapped Naruto into a tight hug, causing a few grains of sand to fall off his body. Please don't go, my baby boy. Ka-san's here for you. The others backed away a bit at what they had heard from Garnet. Please, sob asterisk, please don't go. Garnet continued as she mustered all the love she could into the hug. Mama's here for you, baby. Sob, please to go, my little baby boy, please, sob asterisk, please don't go. Gobs of tears were rushing down Garnet's face as the gem tore off her sunglasses to reveal her 3 eyes, tears flowing out each one of them. Naruto, please stay with us. Garnet continued to cry as she cradled Naruto's face into her shoulder with more sand falling off his body. Please stay and be the boy we all love, stay and be Mama's little baby boy, her little maelstrom. The amber gems on Naruto's arms were about to flicker lifelessly when the withered limbs slowly began to move. Garnet's cries could still be heard as the withered arms were now wrapping themselves around her back, wrinkles slowly vanishing as Naruto's skin tone was returning. This caught all but Garnet's attention as Steven said, "Look!" The other two gems saw the color returning to Naruto's skin and hair as the boy's body was beginning to return to its normal state. The nearly lifeless glow of the amber gems then erupted back to life and full luster and a brilliant golden glow as Naruto's body was now fully restored. Garnet felt the sudden pressure on her back and looked to see Naruto's fully restored face looking back at her with love in the blonde shining blue eyes. "I'm back," said Naruto with a loving smile. "Mom." Garnet's heart soared to new heights as she and Naruto tightly hugged each other as both the amber gems and garnet gems were now glowing brightly in a beautiful fiery light, spreading a wave of loving warmth all around Beach City. "Welcome back, Naruto," Pearl thought as tears of joy were now rolling down her face. The radiating warmth faded away as Naruto and Garnet ended the hug with the blonde looking at the gem's tear-stained face. You have 3 eyes?" Naruto asked as Garnet nervously reeled back a bit. "That's pretty cool." Garnet was shocked to hear Naruto say that about her having 3 eyes and even complimenting them. "Really?" Garnet asked in shock. "You really think that?" Naruto smiled as he said, "Of course, Mom, they're awesome. They're the coolest." Garnet softly smiled as it was great to have her son in her arms safe and sound. "Naruto!" roared a familiar voice as everyone turned to see a Kurama-possessed clone looking angrily at Naruto. "Hey, Kurama!" Naruto nervously said as he carefully moved out of Garnet's grip to face the possessed clone. "Sorry about the scare there." Kurama bared his teeth to reveal his elongated upper canines as the clone then began to strangle Naruto. "If you ever do something like that again, I'll strangle you all the way to the deepest parts of hell and back and even through purgatory, as I almost died as well." Kurama roared as he continued to strangle Naruto until Garnet managed to pry the clone off. After calming down, Kurama gave Naruto a glare as he crossed his arms and grumbled, "Brat better not do that again or I'm killing him myself." Naruto chuckled as everything was back to the way things were with the added bonus of now having someone he could now call a mother. "Say, Naruto," asked Amethyst as she held up a tied bag, "since you're not dying now, what do you have in the bag?" Naruto chuckled as he actually forgot about that as he said, "How about we deal with that tomorrow, as I'm sure that everyone's pretty tired after everything that had happened and I'd like to spend some time with my new mother." Everyone smiled as Amethyst gave Naruto the bag before Garnet picked him up to where the blonde could rest his head on her shoulder. "That sounds like an excellent idea, son," said Garnet as she carried Naruto while she and the others entered the temple after having such a long and emotional day. Garnet and Naruto had just entered the gem's personal room as the gem placed the blonde on the bed. "This has been some day, hasn't it?" Garnet asked as she held her third eye closed as she sat next to her son. "Yeah," Naruto said tiredly as he set the bag near the desk. "One of the most craziest in my book, Mom." Garnet felt pride filling her heart as Naruto let out a tired yawn. "Looks like someone's tired," said Garnet with a gentle smile. "I know that crystal gems don't need to sleep," said Naruto as he looked at Garnet's reddened eyes. "But you could use some rest as well." The two then laid down on the bed with Garnet hugging Naruto, as the two slowly drifted off to sleep. "Good night, Ka-san," said Naruto as sleep soon overtook him, while he rubbed his head against Garnet's arm. "Good night," said Garnet as she kissed the back of Naruto's sun-kissed hair lovingly. "My little maelstrom." The two had fallen asleep in peaceful bliss as tomorrow would be their first day as mother and son. Mount Myaboku. Gamabunta was resting in one of the giant hot springs in the Toad's homeland in hopes of relaxing his nerves. It has been weeks since Naruto disappeared from the elemental countries, and they couldn't reverse summon the brat because Naruto was too far away for the jutsu to work. The only way for the reverse summon to work where Naruto is would be for a toad to be summoned at that location. But even that is problematic as the mini Minato may actually be in a place where chakra doesn't exist at all and the boy has bad chakra control as the farthest Naruto has ever gotten without the Kyuubi's aid were Gamabunta's own sons. "Yo Pops," said Gamakichi as he and Gamatatsu joined their father in the hot springs. "Gamakichi, Gamatatsu," said Gamabunta with slight surprise. What brings the two of you here? Gamakichi shrugged his shoulders as he said, I don't know what it was, but Gamatatsu and I felt a wave of loving warmth that sort of compelled us to join you in a nice relaxing soak in the springs. It was a pretty powerful wave as it was even felt in Konoha. Gamabunta briefly remembered feeling that warmth, as it made him feel proud in his sons as they were going to be great toads one day. We know we don't say it much, but, said Gamakichi as he and his brother then hugged their father's giant arm. We love you, Dad. Gamabunta felt the warmth from his son's hugs as he then said, I love you both, my sons. After the hug ended, Gamabunta leaned back as his two sons swam around the hot spring playfully. I'm going to see if the elders will allow me to send some scouts out to see where that warming energy came from, the giant toad thought as he felt the knots in his back vanish beneath the warm water. But for now, I'm just going to spend some quality time with my sons. The three toads then looked up into the sky and they all shared the same thought. Naruto, wherever you are, we hope you are alright and living a nice happy life. Chapter end. Tired of watching censored fanfics? Would you like to watch some very naughty, filled with the lemons fanfics without any censorship? I'm happy to announce that I opened Patreon page for you guys, where you could watch Naruto/Deku, 18+ stories without any censoring. Not only that, you can also see the NSFW images of characters of the fics on my Patreon, which I make by myself. So buy your preferred tier and join our community now. Link is in the description.